Friday, 4th of June 2021. Coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria. This is Breakfast Central.
It is a special Friday edition of Breakfast Central on News Central TV. I am Oluchi in Obong. I'm super excited, and I have with me someone you've probably, scratch that, most definitely missed on the show for a while now. I need to give you this drum rolls. Drum rolls! Please help me welcome the delectable Tolulokwe Adeleru Balogun on the show.
So you got my name right.
Yes.
But this Friday morning you messed up your own. But I don't blame Luchi, because if you are in Lagos, you know that the heavens have opened up and the rain has definitely come down in the commercial nerve center of Nigeria and of West Africa. So if you're out there, please be safe. But good morning, good morning. We are indeed delighted to have you join us this morning as we unwrap the latest happenings across the continent and beyond. Let's begin the show today with the headlines.
Nigerians react to proposed name change.
Niger's ambassador calls for gender equality among Africans.
And we'll be giving you updates from the Ifa Festival in Ile-Ife.
Rema and Master KG make Forbes 30 under 30 list.
Of course, we'll be giving you updates on COVID-19 right here on Breakfast Central.
Kuna kallon News Central TV.
You are watching Breakfast Central on News Central. Now let's bring you some of our top stories this morning. Niger Republic's Ambassador Abdul Abari says no society can possibly hope to prosper today in the 21st century if it systematically excludes half of its population. He made the announcements while announcing the creation of the Group of Friends of Women in the Sahel region.
Now speaking to reporters after an aerial family meeting on the Sahel, Abari says the major challenges that affect the Sahel range from insecurity to the impact of climate change or economic development changes have a disproportionate impact on women and girls and amplify existing inequalities. Now, the ambassador said the new group of friends will be co-chaired by Niger, the African Union, and the European Union.
No society can possibly hope to prosper today in the 21st century if it systematically excludes half of its population. If peace is a collective issue, why should it be discussed and consolidated without women? The major challenges that affect the Sahel, from insecurity, the impact of climate change, or economic development challenges, have a disproportionate impact on women and girls and amplify existing inequalities. If women and girls are the first victims of humanitarian crisis, insecurity, and other disasters, they are also at the origin of major changes and often are the first responders.
In our initial programs, when we started 1325, Resolution 1325, we're focusing on women as beneficiaries. The shift of mind is women as agency. You're seeing now many women at the helm in political power, in economic power, leading private sector. The Fund of Women in the Sahel will be supporting these positive dynamics.
Nigeria's House of Representatives Special Committee on Constitution Review on Wednesday received a proposal to change Nigeria's name to the United African Republic, and this has sparked a lot of controversy among Nigerians. The proposal was submitted by Adeleye Jokotoye, a tax consultant, who said Nigeria's current name was an imposition of its past colonial masters and should be changed.
Now, according to the information, he also added that a change of name for the country would physically and psychologically reflect a new beginning. Now, while Nigerians are reacting to the name change, some are calling for an amendment of the constitution to reflect fiscal federalism, state or regional resource and taxation control, as well as removal of immunity clause and the review of the exclusive legislative.
We are now joined by Barrister Nwabweze Ugu. He is a constitutional lawyer, human rights activist, and a public policy analyst, as well as a former lawmaker. Barrister, good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central.
Good morning, please, and thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. So let's get straight into this. We know that Nigeria is currently facing a number of issues. It's a very critical time. We're heading towards the 2023 election. There's banditry, there's insurgency, there's poverty in the land as well. And in the midst of this, we're having a constitutional review exercise. What's your take on the exercise so far?
The exercise is very good. It is timely. It is indispensable right now because Nigeria is at great crossroads. If you look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1999, it says very clearly in Section 1, that subsection 1, that the country is a federation. And in subsection 2 of Section 1 says that no part of this country, or indeed the federation itself, will be governed except in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. And the Section 4 creates the legislature and makes the legislature the first branch of government, makes it the engine room of democracy, and makes it the people's parliament. Section 5 makes the executive the second arm. Section 6 makes the judiciary the top arm and makes it, of course, the hope of the hyperlaw, the hope of the common man.
All right.
Now, if you look at every constitution in every part of the world also creates a section for amendment. It is that section for amendment that makes the Constitution either a rigid one or a Constitution that is a simple.
All right, Barrister.
Now, the Nigerian Constitution is a rigid one to the extent that if you look at Section 9, subsection 2, that tells you how to amend any part of the Constitution except Section 8 and the Chapter 4, which stretches from Section 33 to Section 46. It tells you that you can amend any part of the Constitution by getting 2/3 majority of members of the House. If a proposal for such amendment is passed by the National Assembly, and the 2/3 of all the houses of assembly of all the states in this country pass it, and they return back to National Assembly and is passed with a simple majority, then those sections of the Constitution, if accepted to by Mr. President, remains amended.
All right.
That is Section 9, subsection 2, which amends every part of the Constitution except Section 8 and Chapter 4. But for you then to amend Section 8 or Chapter 4, you go to Section 9, subsection 3 of the Constitution.
All right,
now,
Barrister.
It tells you that's what is more rigid.
Barrister, I mean, looking still within the Constitution framework, I mean, well, let's focus a little bit on the proposal that concerns the change of name of the country. Now, you've told us already, you've explained to us what the Constitution says and how we can go on and have a change of name depending on if the terms and conditions according to the Constitution is being fulfilled by the people in governance. Now, at this point in time, people are asking, do you think a change of name is the way to go? Will the change of name bring us back to an economy that will be robust enough to accommodate everybody and will move us ahead in terms of looking at in terms of the cost of living, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of even healthcare and other social benefits in the country? Will a change of name have a good effect in any of the sectors?
All right. We seem to have lost connection with Barrister Ugu there, but hopefully we'll be able to get him back. So again, as we said earlier, a number of reactions to the proposal to change Nigeria's name to the United African Republic. If you're on social media, you know that Nigerians have been reacting to that. I don't have any. I even saw what was supposedly maybe the currency. And if you want to see what the currency looks like, go and look for it. So there are a lot of questions, but is that really where Nigeria needs to face right now? The constitutional amendment, there's also been another proposal to put Sharia law into place in the southern, southeast, south, and southwestern parts of Nigeria. That's part of the amendment. We're also looking at amendments that deal with uncompleted projects from tenure to tenure. So it is a focus. Every Nigerian has a right to propose something that they want to be amended, but really, what should the focus be during this exercise?
Exactly, and that also brings to mind certain reports that we've had in the past, looking at the Confab report and even the Oputa panel of the 1999. You know, there were some reports and there were some analysis that were done during those times. People have come out to ask the question. I mean, looking at Confab report of 2014, a lot of things were suggested that should have been implemented, and they have not been implemented, and a lot of funds was put into that meeting. I mean, for people coming together. At some point, Nigerians were questioning the amount of money that was being paid to the people at that time. But these are things that a lot of Nigerians are also reacting to, and they're bringing it back. I mean, we're looking at certain things and how well has it been done? How well would this would even take us further? I mean, who are the people that will be in governance when we have this change of name, if we do have a change of name?
And that involves changing a lot of things. So really, it's not financially and fiscally feasible or even smart at this point in time in how Nigeria's economy is running. But we've also heard from the National Assembly, and they said there is no new constitution. The only thing going to be available is amendments. And Nigerians have said, some have said, let's return to the previous constitution of 1969. A lot of people are not happy with the 1999 constitution. So there's a lot of conversation around that, and hopefully we'll be able to continue that conversation. But do stay with News Central. We'll be giving you updates because it is a very interesting process, that of constitutional amendments here in Nigeria, and it will go back to the states for it to be ratified as well.
All right, you're still watching Breakfast Central on News Central TV. Let's take you through the headline newspapers that we have for you today, June 4, 2021. All right, we're starting with the newspaper headlines this morning, and they're heading out to Zimbabwe, looking at the daily news this morning. And the paper says a whole lot. We're looking at the daily news, and it says ZANU-PF League heads under fire as party demands more zest ahead of 2023. Of course, we're looking at this is a very serious statement that is being made here in Zimbabwe. We can look into the papers for more information as well. Also on the bill, you have PAF. It says PAF puts Bulawayo in the spotlight. That's in the world of entertainment as well. You can go through the Zimbabwe paper. That is the daily news for more information.
And now we head to The Citizen for you. So let's see what The Citizen has on the front page. What government needs to do to promote Tanzanian goods. The writer there says, with budget day less than a week away, the business community hopes the government will address 4 issues to boost the competitiveness of Tanzanian products in both the domestic and international markets. 1, reviewing the existing tax rates. 2, review regulatory frameworks. 3, more investment in technology. And 4, boost competitiveness of products. And I know if you remove the name Tanzania and you make this a conversation across the continent, it will resonate. You also have from The Citizen, give TBS exclusive mandate to Mark Field. This is coming from lawmakers. And there's a proposed 2021-2022 budget of the Ministry of Energy in shillings, which was presented to the Parliament on Wednesday. And finally, why offloading telecom towers is now the trend. Those are headlines from The Citizen.
All right, from The Citizens in Tanzania, we move to the Sowetan papers in South Africa. Looking at the Sowetan papers, you will see quite a number of stories, but the very, very big one here that has a lot of people going through that paper is the front page, and that is the teen girls turn into sex trade. That's what it says. teen girls turn into sex trade. You can see a young girl standing by the roadside with an umbrella. And it says the increasing number of younger women from the vile farming plots are experimenting with prostitution to escape poverty. That's what it says in the papers this morning. It's quite a sad story, but it is what is happening, and it is the current situation in that part of Africa this morning. You need to go to the Sowetan papers for more information. Also on page 4, it says the VBS scandal claims another mayor. Well, you would have to go through the papers for more information in the Sowetan papers. Now, another one at the back page of the Sowetan papers, it says all or nothing for BUCs and chiefs. Yes, all or nothing for BUCs and chiefs. That's what it says in the papers. In the world of entertainment, it says plus-size actors take center stage. You will find that on page 12 of the Sowetan papers this morning.
And finally, we move now to The Star, coming to you from Kenya. Front page on The Star, Mutunga, justices' spouses take bribes. That is a massive allegation there. The writer says Ruto, like other Kenyan politicians, is a liar who tells the truth by accident. Wow, that's harsh. Pick up the paper for details on that. They also have that this is a tell-all and says Uhuru should be impeached. Raila, a patriot, gone to bed with dictators. You also have their judges picks. Uhuru shocker for anti-BBI duo. And of course, there's an ongoing controversy with the Building Bridges initiative in Kenya, as well as the legality of it, according to the judges in Kenya. You also have You Saved My Life. Woman with tumor thanks well-wishers. Chantel's mom demands justice for slain daughter. And it says that the mother of a 8-year-old who was found dead on Sunday is yet to come to terms with the murder of her daughter. And finally, depraved Muthoni gets 30 years for husband's murder. The murder of her husband by a jealous wife was described as meticulously planned, involving 2 drugging attempts and one of the most brutal crime scenes seen. So that's coming from The Star in Kenya.
All right, and that's it for the newspaper review for today, June 4, 2021.
And as we continue the conversation on Breakfast Central, International Sex Workers Day is observed every 2nd of June, and it's a day that recognizes the often exploited working conditions of sex workers across the globe. There's more in this report.
Since 1976, every 2nd of June is set aside to draw attention to the inhuman working conditions that sex workers have to go through. The marking of the day began in France, where sex workers facing increasing pressure from the police were forced to work in secret, which led to more violence against them.
When it comes to human rights, now many of the challenges of that sex workers face is due to criminalization and discrimination. Can you tell us some more of these challenges that sex workers face in the industry?
The most common ones are the random arrests and harassment, especially by law enforcement. And also access to law enforcement is a huge challenge, as many of them, because it is a criminalized activity, sexual activity, they would face a lot of challenges with law enforcement, client exploitation and abuse, because they don't have regulated markets, and it's also not necessarily legally enforced. So then they have issues with clients and exploitation and abuses as well. Access to other services, like for example banking, setting up your account and having to prove your source of income, that is legitimate according to the banks and according to your country's laws. So that could also be a big challenge, because that also affects the security. And then we come to access to health resources, as many of them, in as much as they face all of these many law enforcement issues, there are also a lot of health risks involved. So I will definitely touch on them as we continue.
A protest demanding decent working conditions and an end to stigmatization was a precursor to the movement and the day, which is now known as the Sex Workers' Day.
Do you think at this point in time, Africa or African countries and African leaders should come together and actually recognize this profession officially?
It is very, very multi-layered and multifold, right? Because I can already speak to Namibia's own laws, for example, right? And criminalized according to the Combating of Immoral Practices Act of 21 of 1980. It was inherited by independence by an apartheid government, and that was a colonial government at the time. So carnal sexual intercourse between persons who are not married was unlawful carnal intercourse, and that was the act that was criminalized. And this forbids certain sexual conduct in the context of sex work, for example. And so the statute does not necessarily, in our country, the statute does not necessarily criminalize the actual act of, as they call it, prostitution, which we know is sex work, but in how they describe it is engaging in sex for reward. The acts which are criminalized by the statute are primarily public manifestations of sex work.
The day, which is mostly recognized in France, Germany, and some other countries, is slowly gaining worldwide recognition. In Africa, the phrase sex work, otherwise known as prostitution, comes with stigma, discrimination, danger, and so much more.
You know, violence runs amok in spaces that are not regulated legally or recognized legally. And before a sex worker responds to their health, their safety is often always threatened, the first thing, right? And this speaks to the forms of sexual violence like stalking, rape, and the client does not maybe want to use protection or use a condom. So in order to be safe, they eventually expose themselves, hence the increase. So that's why they would prioritize safety before health first. And hence you would find that the HIV prevalence cases amongst sex workers are highest and contribute a lot because of the fact that if they are not safe, legally and regulated, and I even speak to the aspect of violence, then that is the only thing that they will prioritize first.
However, when we talk about human rights, the fundamental human rights of every individual, inclusive of sex workers and underrepresented members of the community, is paramount.
All right, Ndilo, thank you so much. But finally, what measures should be taken to make sex work safer or more safe?
It's really to make sure that, first of all, safety is important. You cannot have equality without safety in any given community. So services to law enforcement should at least be more accessible. Adult men and women will also need protection against exploitation, for example, in Namibia, by pimps, and against being drugged or detained for the purposes of sex, no matter how sex work is regulated in a given space. So if that statute were to be repealed, for example, in Namibia, at least some of it would need to be replaced with more well-crafted and gender-neutral protections against various sexual abuses. So it's really about regulation and safety.
And that's a really interesting conversation. I think it is one that African countries need to have because there is a lot of hypocrisy that is involved in conversations around sex work. But all the research shows you that when you legalize it, you can actually help reduce trafficking. You can also help reduce the spread of sexually transmitted diseases, particularly HIV and AIDS among sex workers. And you can also reduce the incidences of violence against women. So we eventually need to get to the table and have that conversation.
And they contribute legally to the economy in terms of amount. If they're paying their taxes, they should have certain benefits. They should have insurance. They should have insurance cover. They should also have the social benefits as well.
And let's not forget, there is no demand. Or rather, there's no supply, without demand.
Exactly.
So let's think about that. All right, this is Breakfast Central on News Central. Coming up next on the show.
In the world of entertainment, Rema and Master KG make Forbes 30 under 30.
Super Eagles to face Cameroon in Austria today.
And we'll be giving you more updates on COVID-19 right here on Breakfast Central. It's still the TGIF edition and you're watching Breakfast Central on News Central TV. You can follow us on all social media platforms. We are at News Central TV on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Now, the ancient town of Ile-Ife in Osun State, Nigeria, is revered as the foremost town in Yoruba land, and it is believed to be the first place of dwelling for the progenitors of the Yoruba race in Nigeria. Therefore, it's a no-brainer that they are practically one of the leading towns when it comes to festivals. The Ifa Festival is an annual 7-day event which ends on the first Saturday of June. Ifa, also known as Orunmila is an oracle of divinity and one of the principal deities for the Yoruba people.
Now, our entertainment editor, Korede Brown, joins us live from the ancient city of Ile-Ife, where he's been monitoring the Ifa festival for this year. Good morning, Korede. All right. Now, I know when it comes to festivals like this, for festivals like this, we have a lot of people who come all the way from wherever they're living, from their resident state or their resident location, and they come for festivals like this because it's a time where we all gather together, we all enjoy how it was in those days, and we look forward to just the food and the drink. Item 7 kind of stuff.
I don't know if Item 7 is what Ifa festival is all about, but this is one of the largest festivals in terms of an ethnic group as it is, and you have people who come from where the Yoruba spread out. So people are going to come in from South America. If you didn't know that there's a large Yoruba presence, particularly in the, where would that be? That would be in the eastern part of South America, with Brazil having, some feelings of the Yoruba as well. So hopefully we have Kore with us now, who is in Ile-Ife. So hopefully he'll be able to join us. And the conversation is, of course, around the Ifa festival. It's a really beautiful festival that you get to see the colors and the richness of the tribe and of particularly Ifa worshippers as well. So let's see. Kore, how are you this morning? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Tolu. How are you?
We're good. So, of course, the festival has kicked off and it'll be wrapping up soon. But tell us a bit about what it's looking like on the ground. Are there a lot of people there, especially given the fact that COVID-19 is still around?
Okay. First of all, I need to explain to you. Ife is like a tourist center. People coming from all parts of the world to celebrate different festivals, and there are festivals every day in Ife. All right, Ifa festival is just one of many. Okay. So now, today, as of yesterday, the king has finally given permission for the festival to hold today, and the festival will take place today and tomorrow. The king will be stepping out of the palace to celebrate with the people, and of course, we're going to take this grand, imperial, majestic walk to a few benches around the palace. That is something we're going to be part of, and that is something we're going to be following. We've been given permission to do that. And I think it's going to be amazing today and tomorrow.
All right, Corey. Now we know the pandemic is still out there, and governments across the globe they're talking about taking measures to stop the spread. How would you rate the turnout this year?
All right. So for due to the COVID, a lot of things are being put in place. I think a lot of shops will be closed, and people are advised to stay away from the palace gatherings, or just stay in front of their houses and see the king walk down the streets to visit all the deities and every other thing. But however, I'm not sure, and I would say this categorically, I'm not sure people are going to listen to that. What we can do on the other hand is to find somewhere safe to actually sit and cover the event. But people are excited to see the king. They are always excited to see the king when he steps out. It's going to be hard for us to actually, for the management to actually put in place COVID-19 restrictions. I'll be very, very honest with you.
Right. And it's interesting, and when you talk about people being excited to see the king, for someone who hasn't seen the Oni of Ife step out with regalia, with the drums, with those who come before him and those who come after him, really may not understand. As I'm saying this, I'm getting goosebumps because I understand what it means to have the Oni of Ife, one of the paramount rulers in Nigeria, one of the paramount traditional rulers in Nigeria, to step out in form of this festival. So aside from him coming out, what else is happening with the festival? What are the expectations of what is going on with the people and what they can see in the special days coming?
All right, so this is going to be the first time this year that people are actually going to come out en masse. From my report, most of the festivals that have happened are probably festivals that only relate with the king, where he just comes out to make prayers and so on. There's a huge Ifa community in Ife, and the excitement is really high. What we should look out for, importantly, is the king stepping out to make prayers and pray with the community itself.
All right. Thank you so much, Corey. I'm sure you're having so much fun. Can we just switch locations right now?
I
I wish we can, but sorry, I'll be here for the next 3 days.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. That was Corey Brown, entertainment editor for News Central. He's actually also in Ife for our culture show, and that show particularly is looking at specific, very interesting and important cultural aspects around Nigeria. We've had it first with Oyo, with the old empire of Oyo. And if you haven't seen that, you can go to our YouTube channel. It's a fascinating documentary on the antecedents, on the old Oyo empire, and of course, how the Yoruba race came to be. And now we're sort of following that story, and we're going to Ife. And I can let you in on a little secret. After Ife, we're going to Benin.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
we're taking
awesome.
the culture show on the road, and we're going to Benin. You guys definitely need to stay tuned for that.
All right, and don't forget you can follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on YouTube. It is at News Central TV. Up next is COVID-19 updates.
So as African countries and the world in general continues to battle the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, Namibians seem to be neglecting the infection prevention and control measures. Now let's join Israel Eferobo for more COVID-19 updates. Good morning, Israel.
Indeed, good morning to Olu and Oluchi. Well, indeed, there's so much to talk about as regards the pandemic here on the African continent. Let's begin in Namibia, where yesterday it recorded over 700 COVID-19 cases. It was the highest daily count since the pandemic broke out in the country last year. Now, the country's health minister, Kalumbi Shangula, in a statement said COVID-19 cases were rising at an alarming rate in the country, which is an indication that the public is not strictly following the COVID-19 infection prevention and control measures, a worrying trend. Now, he also said that COVID-19 cases were recorded in 13 regions in the country, with the capital Windhoek logging the highest number of 382 out of 717 cases. Well, Namibia has so far reported over 800 deaths and over 56,000 confirmed cases. Well, the World Health Organization says the increase in COVID-19 infections that has been reported in many African countries poses a threat to the continent's already fragile public health system. Now, WHO's Regional Director for Africa, Mashidiso Moeti, said the continent was on the verge of a new wave of coronavirus infections amid easing of containment measures, cold weather, and stalled vaccination targeting high-risk groups. Moeti also added that it is crucial that vaccines get into the arms of Africans at high risk of falling seriously ill and dying of COVID-19. She also warned that heightened movement and arrival of winter could fuel a new wave of COVID-19 infections in Africa, adding that government should revamp critical care infrastructure to avert a high toll of fatalities. According to the WHO, Africa has recorded 20% spike in COVID-19 positive cases in the last 2 weeks, while 8 countries have witnessed a 30% increase in their caseload in a week's period. The numbers now, so far Africa has recorded over 4.8 million cases with over 131,000 deaths. Now, in terms of testing, the continent has carried out over 48.2 million tests, while 4.4 million recoveries have also been recorded. Well, indeed, the continent is striving so hard to ensure that indeed COVID-19 comes to a halt. The infection rate, how it spreads, the WHO, they are all working hand in hand to ensure that, yes, Africa is at the top of its game. Back to you, Tolu.
Right.
Thank you so much, Israel. And of course, it is worrying. We know that South Africa has faced a third wave of infections as it is right now. Here in Namibia is possibly in their second or also third wave. So it means we're not out of the woods yet.
I mean, it's no surprise to Namibia. Just yesterday in the New Era newspaper, Namibians, actually 2/3 of them, that's about 63% of the population, believe that prayer can push out COVID as against going to get vaccinated. So they came out and it was in the papers just yesterday. So I mean, these numbers we're seeing is not magic. It's expected. Exactly. If they do not believe the vaccines can actually take out the COVID, they believe prayers would work. It makes me and a lot of people wonder. I mean, why do we have doctors if you think it's just prayers that can solve a lot of things in the country? We won't be here. Africa won't be in this situation.
At all. All right, we have more coming up. We are, of course, moving on with Breakfast Central right now. And let's get into the next stage of the show. I'm having fun. All right, so we're going to talk about raising kids, but I think we'll do that right after the break. Stay with us. So raising kids can be a challenge. Please ask me, ask Luchi, especially for mothers who have to work and also keep the home as well. It can also be a challenge when you possibly leave your kids with their fathers. But y'all, I'm gonna say, you guys need to step it up, step it up. But even when you leave them, the funniest things actually happen. So this is what was that? Why shot? No, Mban. This is what Yoruba people call an agbaya, and I don't know how to translate that in English because the word is so heavy. But let me tell you, I also understand. Really, we have kids.
Tolu.
Yes, I understand.
Not even one spoon was given, and the kids were. You know, it's a different thing if the kids were not willing to open their mouth. They were literally.
Do you know how many? Okay, so tell me, are you telling me you've never hidden food from your kids?
Well, I have.
Okay, so I'm gonna say I've put it in my bag. Mommy, what's that? I don't know. I didn't hear anything. So there's one video I saw. The father was carrying the baby in one of these baby carriers. Her head was down, so he used the side of his mouth to. If you see the way that baby's head just turned, like swung, like what are you eating? The man couldn't even chew. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I know what it is with kids and food, but man, those little lovely children of ours, no, nothing is yours ever again. Just your own. Just your own. Oh my goodness.
All right. Okay. Yes.
I've lied about food. I feel him.
Even as an adult, so these little ones, I give up on you, Tolu.
Luchi, you really cannot tell me.
I give up at this point. They do.
You know what? I need to know. If you guys are on social media, you need to tell us. And if you have kids, you have nieces, you have nephews, if you've ever taken care of kids, because it's not just the parents that face this. Have you hidden food from them? Are they coming? As in, if I hear those little pitter-patter footsteps, I hide it.
All right, while Tolu's been enjoying hiding food, let's move to this one. Now, it talks about Forbes. Now, Forbes Africa has unveiled its 30 under 30 class of 2021. And impressively, Nigerian creatives made the list. Now, the list of 30 creatives cuts across many works of life, all across the continent. Now, our entertainment plug, Sam Dandy, tells us more.
Of course, like you said, Forbes Africa has unveiled 30 under 30 class of 2021. And I'm particularly impressed because Nigerians made the cost. Of course, what was I expecting? So the list of 30 creatives is no particular order. It was put there in no particular order. Cut across many walks of life, across the continent. From CEO of energy companies to media contributors to digital influencers to gamers, arts, and even sports. Now we spotted 21-year-old Nigerian musician Rema, who's given us a lot of nice songs. We've seen Nigerian film producer Ifan Michael. We've seen South Africa's Cleo Johnson, amazing woman. Ugandan Brian Kakimbo. Zimbabwe's Shakimoto. And now it's impressive because, of course, Masakeji is also there. In fact, Casba De Small from South Africa is there. Now, what's impressive is the list features 13 South Africans, 6 Nigerians, 2 Ugandans, of course, we have a Ghanaian, Zambian, Zimbabwean, Namibian, someone from Mauritius, and of course, Kenya. It kind of cuts across every country. So in previous years, the list has featured names like Mr. Easy, Shoma Josie, who gave us John Cena, Burna Boy, David Onasisi, and Wizkid. But this year's list, according to Forbes, marks a historic turn as many businesses, as we all know, and brands were diversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So Forbes says they sift through, countless nominations, looking for resourcefulness and resilience in the candidates, and I understand why they would do that. It's crucial. And of course, people who have also been contributing to African growth story even within this time. And I'm just super proud to see Rema as young as 21, there. I do think he's the youngest person on that list, but then I'll make sure I find out that detail. Well, let's move from there to SAUTI Soul. Now, award-winning music group SAUTI Soul have been appointed as new brand ambassador for a global phone-making brand. Of course, the phone is built in Hong Kong. Now, the boy band shared the good news via social media, stating that they are happy for joining the Infinix family as, of course, a brand ambassador. Remember, SAUTI Souls are among the stars who were set to perform at the 2022 Afro Nation concert set to happen in Portugal. Now, this is very good because, of course, it was supposed to happen last year. It was moved to this year, July 2021, but postponed once again because of the pandemic to July 2022. Now, the 3-day concert is set to go down on the 1st to 3rd of July. I know it seems far, but of course, Mercedes-Benz is announced as one of the hosts for that event, and people who are going to be performing, a lot of Nigerians are going to be there, of course. Now, the male group, of course, will represent Kenya, alongside Diamond Platinum, who represents Tanzania, Eddie Kenzo from Uganda. So it's really an Afro-continental thing going on. All right, so however, Nigeria has a good number of artists, like I was saying. Burna Boy is going to be there, Davido, Flavor, Fireboy, Kiss Daniel, Niniola, Olamide, Pato Ranking. In fact, I think it's going to be a Nigerian fair, but of course, it's Afro Nation, and we can't wait for 2022.
Right. And I know people had their tickets and they were ready for that because they thought, let's get out of this. But now they, just a delay, but the fun is still coming. Sam Dandy, thank you so much for that entertainment update. We'll be seeing you sometime soon.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so what's next?
Oh, that's it. So,
Really?
we're out of time. I'm looking at time. We're out of time.
You're not looking at anything.
I am.
No, you're not.
Spiritually.
Do it again.
I have it.
Oh my God, thank you guys so much for joining us. And just to prove Lucci wrong, please, at News Central TV, parents, guardians, aunties, uncles, let us know. I am not the only one who hid food from my child or from my niece. I'm not the only one. So please let me know that I'm normal.
Okay, she's trying to feel really happy. But before we go, let's take you through some of the programs we have for you later today on News Central TV.
All right, Business Edge, which of course I'll be hosting, comes your way at 11 a.m. West African time.
And we have 12 noon West African time, NC News Now.
And don't forget that NC Continental Prime is live on your television screens on YouTube as well, 9 p.m. West African time. All right, so that's the show, and hopefully Monday, Olisa will be back on sets with Lucci for the Monday edition of Breakfast Central. Thank you so much for making time for me today.
Thank you. All right, we'll be here again on Monday. So on behalf of the production crew, we'll say have a lovely weekend. Peace.